Hi, I'm Heyzeus, and this video is on long-term investments in Boston Major team stickers. Now, this video has sort of got two parts. In the first part, I'm going to talk about why I think this particular major is a good major to invest in, and in the second part, I'm going to divide up sort of, capsules, individual holos and foils, and normal team stickers, and then talk about each group individually and sort of talk about the quirks of investing in each different area. Now, I will emphasize at the start, I can't guarantee anything in terms of how these are going to go as investments. What I'm going to be doing instead is explaining why I think this is a good major to take the risk of investing, because in my opinion, the potential rewards outweigh the potential risk of losing money. Also, I'm not going to focus on autographs at all during this video. I'll do a separate video on those later. So, any long-term investments are going to represent sort of the ultimate culmination of supply and demand forces fighting against each other. This is sometimes called the bull and the bear. Sometimes the bear will win, that's supply, the price won't go anywhere, like the PGL stickers for instance, and sometimes the bull will win, which is demand, and the price will go up, like with Atlanta stickers. Now, because we can't look forwards in time to work out where supply and demand are going to go once the major sale is over, you have to look backwards instead. And this is why economics is sometimes described as trying to drive forward while looking out the rearview mirror. But unfortunately, it's the best we've got, so we're going to have to try and make the most of it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at all the different sales over the last 3 years, look at how they went as investments, and look at what factors may have driven that outcome. And then I'll try and relate this to the upcoming major to build a circumstantial case for how it's going to go. So this is a graph of the average number of CSGO players per month over the last 3 years. The bars show the average percentage monthly change, and yes, it is an ugly Excel graph, and I will try and get it off screen as soon as possible. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to insert the various majors and highlight the ones that were good long-term sticker investments in yellow. As you can see, there was only really two good long-term investments in holos and foils, and these were Atlanta and Katowice 2015. Also, I know at this point a lot of people are asking why MLG Columbus isn't in yellow. I will get onto that, it is a bit different, but I'll explain why it's different and what the importance of that is. Now, it should be obvious by looking at this that there's no real clear pattern, but what I'm going to suggest instead is that you should look for something that you don't see. And what you don't see is any good long-term investments where the player base isn't going through periods of strong growth. Now, this doesn't guarantee success either. You look at Cologne 2015 for example, but I think it is an important prerequisite, and I suspect it drives a lot of sticker consumption and runs down the supplies of stickers purchased at the major. Now, this is where I have to bring up MLG Columbus, because its holos and foils did very well initially, but their prices have since collapsed. And I think there's a few reasons for that. First of all, I think they were overhyped to begin with. I think the prices were always too high, and that ensured that in the medium term at least, there would be a collapse in prices. But additionally, there was a sharp decline in the player base following the tournament, and furthermore, there was that major gambling scandal which unsettled the market and sort of exacerbated the crash due to the drop in player numbers. By comparison, Atlanta didn't have any of these problems. They weren't overhyped, the player base was fairly stable afterwards, there was no gambling scandal. So, summing this all up, what I'm suggesting is one factor that can help stickers be a successful long-term investment is strong player base growth around the time of the major, and at the very least stability after it. Nonetheless, the fact that MLG Columbus went well in the first place does tell us something, because the player base was already declining, albeit only slightly, when the major occurred. So the question is, how is this possible? Well, let's compare some sticker designs. So what I've got here is all the Virtus Pro foils from all the majors since 2015. I went for VP simply because they've got a logo that's the same at all of these majors. Now, generally speaking, people like their foils to be large, brightly coloured, and have a background that doesn't aesthetically intrude on the team logo. Now, which of these stickers do that the best? Well, it is a matter of personal opinion, but let's do some comparisons. So, starting on PGL, as you can see, it's not super bright. The logo itself is reasonably large, but there's a very ugly background. That's not particularly good. If you look at Atlanta on the other hand, huge logo, very bright, the background isn't very intrusive. It's not much of a surprise that that sticker was quite popular. Cologne 2016 by comparison, The sticker's way too small. It is bright enough, but that background, I actually liked it, but it wasn't very popular at the time. If we look at MLG Columbus, the logo could be a bit bigger, but it is big enough. It's reasonably bright, and the background is quite large, but it doesn't really intrude on the sticker. It's actually quite harmonious, to get all arty about it, I guess. If we go into Cluj Poker, on the other hand, the logo's tiny, huge shiny star on the background that's brighter than the sticker itself. It's horrible. Cologne 2015, the logo is an okay size. It's kind of bright enough, but the background is a Dorito, and that was not very popular, not very well received. And finally, if we look at the Cato 2015s, as you can see, logo is reasonably big enough, it's nice and bright, and the background is fairly big, but it's quite dark and not very intrusive, so overall it's still quite a nice looking sticker. So, summing that all up, what do we notice? Well, what we kind of notice is that the most successful stickers in terms of investments, both short term and long term, tended to be the nicest looking. And I think this is a huge factor. Good looking stickers will do well, ugly stickers won't. I can't see a single ugly sticker there that did well, at least in holos and foils. We'll get into that more later. So that's physical attractiveness. There's two other factors I wanted to mention. First of all, the length of the sticker sale can affect how successful the stickers are as investments. The really good example of this is Cato 2015. Its sticker sale was really short, and that's one of the reasons why they're so valuable today. Not the only reason, but definitely one of them. The other factor I wanted to mention is investor expectations. Basically, if the previous major didn't go too well, this can sort of leave investors dejected and less willing to invest. The reason I think this is a factor can be seen by looking at the last few majors. So, PGL did really badly, but Atlanta before it had done really well. But before Atlanta there was Cologne 2016. That did really badly. But before Cologne 2016 there was MLG, which, at first at least, did quite well. So, I think there is a bit of a pattern of investors getting hyped up because one major went well, and over-investing in subsequent majors, flooding the markets with stickers, and making it less likely that a meaningful return is ever going to come out of those stickers, simply because the market is oversupplied. So, looking over all of this, how do the Boston foils fare? Well, if we look at how the player base is going, we can see that it's in rebound, so that's a plus, and I think the growth we're seeing at the moment will continue throughout this month, and this particular month may end up looking a lot like January 2017 when the player base spiked about 15%. Now, it's also worth noting that the player base was basically stable after Atlanta for about 6 months. It dropped a little bit, but the overall change was negligible. I'm not so confident we will see that this time. Not that I think it's unlikely, it's just there's no real way of knowing, so I can only be certain about sort of 50% of this factor. We may see a much sharper decline following this major, it's impossible to know. Nonetheless, this is still an overall positive when it comes to investing in this major. As for the second factor, which is how the stickers look, the logo, it isn't as big as the logo in the Atlanta stickers, but it's still about the same size as the Cato 2015s and Columbus holos, so that's adequate. In terms of the background on this sticker, I feel it's pretty comparable to the Columbus stickers. It shows more background than you'd like, but at least the background is okay looking, so I think we're all right there. And finally, in terms of brightness, it's less bright than the Atlanta stickers or the Cato stickers, more comparable to, I think, Columbus overall, but that was enough for Columbus to be quite popular, and I think it could be the same for this major. So, overall, I think these stickers are about as good as the Columbus stickers, which is probably adequate for a successful investment. Maybe not as good as I'd like, but I think for our purposes probably good enough. For the third factor, which is the length of the sale, I've got no idea what it's going to be, but I don't think it's going to be short. They haven't really done that since Katowice, so we'll ignore that one. In terms of how the stickers at the previous major went, that was PGL Krakow. The answer to that is terrible. The team stickers at that major did terrible. The autographs did okay, but that's obviously not what we're looking at in this video. And to add to that, the CSGO market prior to December had been in a downturn, and I think there'd probably been traders and investors leaving, so that factor certainly weighs in favour of the Boston stickers. So summing up, I think there's positive indicators from 3 of these 4 factors that these stickers are a decent investment. Not an astronomically great one, but still good enough to be worth the bother. Still, this is all circumstantial evidence and doesn't actually guarantee anything. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to employ some primitive game theory to explain to you why I think this justifies investing. So what we'll assume is that you're going to invest in a team sticker capsule during the sticker sale at the end of this major for $1.50. If the investment goes well, like it did in Atlanta, you'll end up doubling your money. And if it goes badly, like it did at PGL, you'll lose about 50 cents when you resell the capsule. So if you win, you'll make $1.50. If you lose, you'll lose 50 cents. Now, it's impossible at the moment to know whether it's going to go well or not, but I would submit, based on the evidence I've discussed, that the odds are about 50-50 in our favour. So if we extrapolate, you stand to make $1 more if you win than you would lose if things go badly. And I would argue, on those odds, this major is worth taking the risk of investing in. Now, I will reiterate once again, this is no guarantee you'll make money, but this is the reasoning that I'm going to invest based on, and what I can guarantee is that if you're not willing to accept a little bit of risk when you're investing in these things, it's going to be really, really difficult to make money. So on to the second part of this video, where we're going to talk about the different types of things you can invest in. Firstly, we'll look at the investing in individual team holos and foils. Now, the price of these is going to be connected to the price of capsules, because obviously you get these stickers from the capsules with fixed odds for each different team. So the price of the capsule is going to represent a kind of index of the value of the holo and the foil team stickers. So if you invest in the capsules, you're effectively diversifying your portfolio to cover all the different holos and foils that might be inside. And that's pretty cool. I do recommend investing in capsules. I'll talk a little bit more about them later. However, if you get in right when the prices are at their very lowest during the sticker sales, you may stand to make even higher returns if you invest on individual team holos and foils. There's 2 different reasons for this. First of all, the price of individual stickers tends to be quite volatile, and this is something you can exploit to sell stickers when their value is at their highest. So if you look at the Fnatic Atlanta foil, for example, you can see there's a crazy return on it. Secondly, it's also possible for certain stickers to outperform one another. So if you invest in the right ones, you can get quite a high return. The only problem is, this can be quite counterintuitive. For instance, if you were to look at the price of the Astralis Atlanta foil and compare it to the Envious foils, or even the Envious holo, you'd find that you get a much better return on the Envious stickers, and that's not what you'd expect, because Astralis won that major and they were the top team in the world around the time, so it wouldn't make sense that a team that was performing like dog shit like Envious at the time would outperform them. Additionally, there is one downside as well, and that's that if you look at the North foil, for instance, unless you got in early during some of the spikes, there's a very miserable return on this sticker. In fact, if you sold it today, you would have lost money. So it's higher risk, higher return. My suggestion is, there's nothing wrong with investing in individual holos and foils, so long as you keep a few key principles in mind. Firstly, you need to buy during the height of the sticker sale to get the stickers off the Steam market at the best prices. Secondly, their prices tend to be quite a bit more volatile, so it's important to keep a constant eye on them and try and sell during the spikes. Now, you may be waiting a couple of months for the spike, but you need to be checking, I would recommend, every day almost, to make sure you get in there at the right time. Finally, not all of the holos and foils will perform as well as each other, and the best performing stickers may not necessarily be intuitive. It may just be a matter of luck. So I would recommend spreading out the range of holos and foils you buy. Go for the nicest looking ones, of course, but try and buy a range and just keep an eye on their prices to try and sell them off whenever any one of them has a dramatic spike. On to capsules now. This section is mercifully more simple. Basically, the question I'm just going to look at is, if you are going to buy Team Sticker capsules, which one should you buy? Well, fundamentally, I don't think it's a huge deal, so long as there's a few popular teams in each capsule. And in this regard, I think all the capsules actually have something worthwhile in them. For instance, the Legends capsule has 100 Thieves, it's got VP, it's got Astralis. The returning challenges has Cloud9, Fnatic, G2. The minor challenges has Space Soldiers, Flash. I think the good stickers are fairly well distributed. In the long run though, I have to suggest that maybe the minor challenges capsule may be the best, simply because we might not see something like Flash ever again, and that's obviously a very cool sticker. But I think overall, all of them are fine as investments. Finally, there's the subject of normal team stickers. Now, provided you're willing to wait long enough, a lot of normal team stickers will often turn out to be maybe not great investments, but at least profitable ones. Particularly if you go for very popular stickers, even if the foils and holos from that particular major don't increase in price. For example, if we look at Columbus, the price of foils and holos have completely collapsed. You'd now be selling them at a loss if you bought them during the sticker sale back in 2016. But if you look at their FaZe, Cloud9 and Astralis stickers, they all have pretty good prices. These were 25 cents ones, now they've gone up quite a bit. And if we look at Cologne 2016, which was a complete and utter dud, if we look at FaZe, Optic, SK, it's exactly the same deal. Now, all these stickers are very low volume, so there obviously is a limit to how much profit you could make if you're trying to sell them today, if you'd bought them back when they were on sale. And it's also worth noting that less popular teams haven't done as well, but it is an indicator that over long time spans, ordinary team stickers can perform quite well even if the holos and foils don't. And it's also worth noting that if you compare the prices of the stickers we've looked at so far to the price of normal Atlanta stickers, generally speaking, the Atlanta stickers aren't doing that much better. So, overall, ordinary team stickers tend to be lower risk, but also lower return. And my advice if you want to invest for them is go for the team stickers that seem to be the most popular. You can judge that by the total volume being sold on the Steam market and invest in those. The returns aren't likely to be as amazing as it might be for capsules or individual holos and foils if the major goes well, but the upshot is, even if the major doesn't go well, you may still end up making money off that investment, provided you're willing to wait. So that's about it for this video. My conclusions are this is a good major to invest in, or more precisely, that it's worth the risk involved in investing in it. If you found this video useful, please leave a like, comment, subscribe, I'd really appreciate it. As always, trust the numbers, not your gut. I'm Heyzeus, thanks for watching, see ya.